I have two 18-inch scars on my chest, along with 28 1-inch incision scars all over my body. When people ask me all the time if my transition was hard, I laugh at them. Not because it's a stupid question, but because I'm even surprised by the answer. Truth is, I wouldn't trade one bit of scar tissue or memories filled with drains and blood and discomfort. I really wouldn't have it any other way. Not one moment of one day of the life that I began 5 years ago has been hard. There's been moments filled with emotion and pain, but I haven't even regretted 1 second of it. Even with a body filled with scars and a past that I cannot hide, I am 100% proud of who I am. There's no going back, and I would never want to. When you lie down on the table to have surgery, your doctor will remind you many, many times that when this is all over, even though technically it's reversible, there is no going back. And when I laid down on the table to have my first surgery, I was terrified of that. I stayed up all night the night before my surgery and I cried. I cried for hours. And then I woke up on the day of surgery. I packed up my stuff. I got in the car with my aunt and my mom. We drove to the hospital, and it was like I wasn't even having a life-altering surgery that day. I laid down on that table. I walked into the surgical room even though they wanted to wheelchair me in. I laid down on the table myself. And I was so excited. And just hours before, the night before, I was terrified. And I couldn't believe how easy it was that morning. And then I woke up from surgery, drugged out of my mind, and I did not even think to regret it. It was just what I was going through. And I was so glad that I made it out and that things were okay and there were complications, so we dealt with what we dealt with, and shit happens. A couple weeks later I had a moment. It was actually 2 weeks later, the first time they let me shower. And not showering for 2 weeks was hell. 2 weeks later was the first time I ever took the bandages off myself. And not just my mom doing it, or I couldn't really see because I would just stare up at the ceiling. And I took the bandages off myself and I cried. I lost my breath. I started shaking. I started to fall over. And I had a moment where I truly questioned if I was regretting what I had done. If maybe I had made a terrible mistake. My mom came into the bathroom and I'm standing there basically naked. And I didn't know what to do. I haven't really talked about this before, and I think I have someone who's been reaching out to me lately, who's having surgery in a couple days, asking me some questions, and it hit me that the only way to truly be prepared for this is to know what I didn't know when I went into surgery, and that is to know that you're allowed to be afraid. That having doubts, no, being afraid doesn't mean you're having doubts. Being afraid means you're afraid. It means that you are about to be cut open on a table while you're sleeping. I mean, it's a normal thing to be afraid of. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that I got past that shower, terrified as I was, and I got past my first day back at school. And I just kept going. And that's the momentum you have to have when you lie down on that table. You have to lie down on that table and say, when I walk out of here, I'm going to be able to not get back to normal, but start getting to the normal where my life should be. And, I always felt that my life was pretty normal before surgery, that was the one thing I was missing. And you don't realize how much changes by just altering one thing. It completely alters the way you interact with people and the way you look at life. And I got my confidence the day I had surgery. I got to feel like things were the way they were supposed to be for a little while, and I know that I don't feel complete, but I felt a hell of a lot closer. When I made this video, the objective was to share that even though I have scars all over my body, and there is not a day that I will ever be able to hide my past. It is written all over every inch of who I am. I am proud, and I don't regret 1 second of it. And I wish for each of you that's going through this and you're in the beginning, I hope you have someone like my mom who let me make my decision for myself and gave me the time I needed to, and didn't push me to stay away from making important decisions, but she didn't really push me to make any important ones too quickly. She was the support that I needed. She let me ask for when I needed help, and she was there for me. All I really have to say is that don't rush it. Choose your doctor carefully. Choose everything carefully. Because this is a decision that will affect every day of the rest of your life. There isn't a day that I wake up that I don't rub my hand across my scars and smile and think this was the greatest decision I ever made. But it could have gone in so many different directions if it wasn't the right decision. And you don't know until it's over. So I ask each of you to be careful when you choose your surgeons, but know that having fear is not the same as having doubts. And you can wake up one day and just know who you are. And no matter what the world tells you, you don't have to ever change that view of yourself. I think that's really what I wanted to get across, and it didn't come across quickly, and it didn't come across the way I wanted it to, but that's what I wanted to say. Thanks, guys.